Groundhog Day. Well, for most anyway, except for Shubenacadie Sam, who saw her big day, her annual visit, her annual prediction, her annual prognostication canceled. I don't know how you cancel Groundhog Day, but we did, and the province putting out a release yesterday saying that because of the weather and blowing snow and road conditions and those kind of things, that they were canceling her event. And then the province was so bold as to tell everybody that, well, she didn't see her shadow and we're going to have an early spring. No word if that was from the actual groundhog itself or from somebody in the government's offices. More on that coming up in the open hour today, which, of course, we'll do after 11 o'clock today. Still lots of cleanup underway here as we deal with our third consecutive storm in as many weeks. Bayview High Eastern Shore Consolidated Marine Drive and Musquodoboit Rural High, they're all closed for the day today. Other HRCE schools have delayed their openings by 2 hours, so that's going to give people a chance to get rid of some of the drifting in the doors and get the parking lots clear for the kids. Around the region, Cumberland County, Colchester County, Pictou County, and the municipality of East Hants, all CCRCE schools closed today. Annapolis Valley, bus drivers using discretion in Kings County and Annapolis County. Strait Regional Center for Education classes are canceled at all SRCE schools today. And Cape Breton Victoria Regional Center for Education, and that means that all schools there are closed today. Universities around town, Dalhousie delaying their opening at 10 here in the city. Truro campus will reopen at 12. SMU campus delaying open till 10. NSCC, both the Akerley, Ivany, and the Institutes of Technology campuses will open at 11:30 today. MSVU, the Mount, says they're delaying their opening until noon. NASCAD, all campuses will open at noon today, and the Atlantic School of Theology will remain closed until 11:30. If you're looking for updates, it's a bit of a strange start to the school week for both elementary schools and for high schools and, of course, for universities. You can log on to our website, halifax.citynews.ca. The list is there, along with some other services, municipal offices, and thus it appears that everybody is kind of going to open a little bit later today as they get a chance to clean up after the storm. Not as bad as we had anticipated, not as bad as was being predicted through the week. I understand that the storm's track moved a little bit on Saturday, and that caused the amount of snow, the snow amounts to shift a little bit. We're going to have our meteorologist, Allister Aalders, join us here in hour number 3 today to share some data on the storm. How much did we actually get? How bad were those winds last night? And lo and behold, the power stayed on for most, right? There were some outages, but nothing widespread like we saw earlier this month. So make sure you stick around for that. Well, at City Hall, budget meetings continue. They'll start again tomorrow, and this week we'll see a shift from the capital budget into operations. It is Monday. It is the start of the show, and that means it's that time for that traditional Councillors on the Hot Seat, and we're very pleased, obviously, and I just hung up on somebody, so Vanessa is going to make that better as I'm starting off the week well, right? I hung up one of our councillors. Anyway, joining us on the Councillors for the Hot Seat segment today, we'll begin with District 13, Prospect Road, St. Margarets, and that's Nancy Hartling. Nancy, at least I didn't hang up on you.
You didn't. How you doing, Dan?
I am well. Are you shoveled out?
Not quite yet, but I'm getting there. I'm in the Bayview catchment area, so I have a kid out there shoveling right now. So hopefully we can get on with our day.
Not a true snow day for the kid. They get put to work, right?
You're right.
Fair enough.
Why waste a day?
Well, that's just it, right? How much snow did you get?
A decent amount. I'm not going to lie.
Fair enough.
Decent amount.
Are you sick of it yet? 3 in a row?
Well, you want to know what? It's always a mixed bag because I'm always praying for precipitation because I worry so much now about water levels.
Right.
So I'm glad that we're back up to where we needed to be, but I don't want to say let's keep the snow coming, but I'm hoping for a soggy spring too.
Fair enough. And back on the phone lines, and my humblest apologies to District 1, Waverley, Fall River, Musquodoboit Valley Councillor, and that's Cathy, Deagle, Gammon. I'm sorry for hanging up on you.
Oh, no worries at all. I got worried there for a minute. I thought it was me.
There you go. No, it's me. It's usually me. It's the buttons are big. Anyway, whatever. We, of course, are getting into, we'll ask you too, Cathy, what, are you shoveled out?
Well, you know what? Just as I was answering the phone, I heard the plow coming in our small little cul-de-sac. Cul-de-sacs are usually the last ones to get plowed out, so the plow's in the cul-de-sac at the moment. But the reason I'm calling in is not so much about that, but I'm just taking care of a sick little puppy. So.
Oh, no. Well, I wish you all the best. 902-405-6001, 877-801-8255. That is the number. We're lucky this week because budget talks continue. The Budget Committee continues to meet, and of course, Cathy Deagle Gammon is the chair of the Budget Committee, so we'll get to, and of course, speak with Nancy Hartling as well, but we get to talk to the boss, as we would say. I guess this is the big switch week, right? This is where we switch over from capital budget to operations, Cathy?
Yes. Yep. And I think I heard you say at the top that we continue tomorrow, but it's Wednesday.
Wednesday, my mistake.
Wednesday is our operations business units plan, so, and it will continue right through until Friday.
Right. So we've got another series of meetings to go. Nancy, are you happy with the process thus far, or are you pleased with what you've seen and some of the decisions made?
I would say that this is, I've only been through one other budget, but this is, and I think everybody at City Hall would agree that this has really been an extraordinary budget, and these are extraordinary times. So, there's a lot to consider. There are some major projects underway, BRT, obviously the Milko Ferry Terminal. There's just a lot out there. So, you kind of have to take it, one step at a time.
Cathy, from the seat of the chair, what's your thoughts thus far on the budget process?
Well, this year we've, tried something a little bit different. Once again, every year you just try to learn what's going to make it a little bit more efficient. But also what's going to make it as transparent as possible so that residents will know exactly what it is that we're voting on and what the result may or may not be. So the other thing that we're doing is we're also looking at future years. So HRM has to provide a balanced budget, right? We cannot provide a budget that has a deficit. So we're looking at this year, but we're also looking at the future years and making sure that whatever decisions we're making today, that we know what the implication is for the future years. And that's a challenge, without a doubt. I think people, if they had been watching any of the capital budget debate, they would have seen, we had to sort of refocus and say, okay, let's concentrate on 26, 27 in our debate and discussions, get that done, and then look at the future years. So I believe that, a good decision was made on the capital budget thus far. But every year we'll be looking at that and saying, was it the right decision? One of the things that people talk about is, as time goes on, if it's in the future years, was it still a good decision? Can it be rescoped? What do we need to do to make this work for HRM and for our regional municipality as a whole?
Cathy, we entered the budget discussions and I think the number was 10.9% increase. Have we made any headway on that number, or do we not know yet?
We don't know yet. That's the easiest answer, because, and people don't like that answer, and I completely understand that as well, because we have to go through the operations budget next, and I think even when you look on what we're going to look at, if people go online and they look at what's in front of us, there are, let me see, I think there are 12 items just on the operations business units. And sometimes those are overs and sometimes they're unders. So that's why I say we don't really know what 10.9 is until you get to that March meeting when we're looking at the budget adjustment list. That's when all the trade-offs happen. That's when we're really going to find out what will the end result look like.
Nancy, there was some discussion on Friday after Councillor Morse raised some concerns about the escalating costs of the Milko Ferry, which you mentioned earlier, and robust, can I say, discussion around the table. But it appears, at least from this vantage point, that the ferry project is moving forward.
Right. And I agree that I think that the ferry project should proceed, but that's not to say that I don't think that Councillor Morris raised some really significant and important points, right? Like what happens when we get these other sources of funding is that source of funding is finite, and it's definitely happened in the past with other projects like this where the costs continue to escalate. So I think that that's an important thing to call out. I certainly don't blame her for it. And the other piece too that I think that she was trying to speak to was just the operations cost over time. What is this going to cost us over time? I think that those are fair questions. My vote at the time was really informed by, despite all of that, do we still think that this is a project that we would want to proceed with? And I think the answer is yes.
Councillor Deagle Gammon, your thoughts on the discussion on Friday on the Milko Ferry?
It was an absolutely wonderful discussion. Made some people nervous, of course, thinking that I think the word cancel is what had everybody nervous.
Right.
I wouldn't believe in canceling at all. If there is an opportunity with the other orders of government to rescope in any way to make it more physically manageable for the municipality, then I think we need to get that information and understand it. There is a report that's going to be coming to council in May, because it will be like sort of 30% of the design, and that will inform us in a much better way about what is possible or not in terms of any kind of amendments or rescoping of the Milko Ferry project. But it is one that needs to happen. I think that we're talking about getting cars off the road. We're talking about reducing congestion, and the Milko Ferry, considering the growth that is happening in the entire Bedford area, it is the right thing to do.
Councillor Hartling, we had a discussion with the mayor in studio here last week, and one of the things he was musing about was taking a look at the Milko Ferry project and maybe moving away from electric ferries to diesel ferries. He said that we may be able to get more ferries if we do that. Is this design phase that we're going to see in May, would that discussion happen then?
I don't know the answer to that. So I heard him on the radio talk about that. I don't know at this moment, Cathy, maybe you can speak to it better than I can. I don't know whether electric ferries are part and parcel with the other sources of funding or whether other ferries could be considered. I don't know the answer to that right off the top. Yeah, it was news to me when I heard the mayor say that.
Councillor Deagle Gammon.
So the original project, excuse me, that was proposed, and I remember being in Bedford at the yacht club at the announcement, and it was for electric ferry. Diesel wasn't part of the conversation back then, and so whether or not there's a change from the federal government about how they will align their funding, I guess that's something that we'll have to wait and find out about. But my understanding is that it was for electric ferries.
Right.
You're listening to Councillors on the Hot Seat here on the Todd Veinotte Show. We're going to take our first break of the day. The lines are open, folks. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. We're back after the break. All right, welcome back. This is Councillors on the Hot Seats. On the line with us today, District 13 Councillor Nancy Hartling, District 1 Councillor Cathy Deagle Gammon. If you have a question for our councillors, 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. That's the number. Again, 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Let's go right to the phone lines, and we welcome Jennifer to the show. Jennifer, how are you?
I'm well. How are you guys?
I'm well. What's on your question for our councillors, please?
Yeah, I'm calling about, I'd like to know the due process of the bylaw enforcement department. If you're issued a bylaw, I don't know what it's called, citation or violation or whatever, and you go to the provincial court and you plead not guilty, and then they give you a date and so on. Are they permitted to continue to issue these violations? Like, I mean, the court date is not till April, and I'm getting another one. Like, what's the?
Hi, Jennifer, it's Cathy here. When you're talking about a provincial court, I'm a little. I'm wondering what it is, because usually the process for the municipal is that if there is a violation of the bylaw, then you'll get a notice and you have so many days that you can appeal it, and the appeal goes through to the HRM Appeals Committee. And then you can either, the decision is either in your favor or against, and then you have so many days to comply with whatever the bylaw order states. But when you say it's a provincial court, I'm just wondering, is it I don't want to in any way violate any confidentiality, but if you wanted to email me after this radio event here, maybe I can help walk you through some of the things or find you the right answer.
Well, I've got all the paperwork and I've attended the hearing. Oh, okay. And I pleaded not guilty, and then they gave me a date, a trial date, I guess.
Are you sure that it's municipal? Because there's no, to Cathy's point, if you had a municipal bylaw infraction, it wouldn't go to provincial court. I don't understand the path that it would get there. If you could maybe help us walk it through. Or again, I sit on the appeals committee. If you like, you can email Cathy or I, and we could probably help you. If we aren't the ones who can help you out, we might be able to find somebody who can help you out.
Okay, well, I know it's a provincial bylaw because it says so. It says so on my little pink slip here, HRM bylaw. So I mean, are they permitted to just continue to issue until? I mean, I have a date set. Everything should be put on hold until that happens.
Councillor Hartling, where you're on the appeals committee, you might be able to find out from Jennifer how it transpires next. I think if it's a continuous, if you're getting another notice, is it for the exact same infraction, Jennifer?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then there should be a phone number, and the compliance officer's name should be there. And if you call them, they can let you know what is happening.
Oh, okay. So
yep, there should be a name or a number there. If not, where Councillor Hartling is on the appeals committee, should be able to help you get connected with them.
Okay. Well,
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jennifer. Best of luck. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. We say hello to Glenn. Glenn, how are you?
Good day. And councillors, good morning.
Good morning.
Or not, spring is coming. You might not believe that right now, but it is coming soon. So I have a question on e-scooters, not the e-bikes, but specifically the e-scooters. And it's a yes or no question to each of you councillors. Would you be willing, before or after they evaluate the e-scooters for the second pilot season, to get on a fully charged e-scooter, drive it on and throughout the city of Halifax using the bike lanes and streets, no sidewalks, following the rules, with helmets, and invite the rest of city council to do the same, plus the mayor, until your fully charged e-scooter ran out, no police escorts, and no grouping up?
We'll start with you, Councillor Hartling. Would you get on one?
Would I get on an e-scooter and HRM?
Yeah.
Yes.
How about you, Councillor Deagle Gammon?
Well, actually, for medical reasons, I cannot. But I could walk beside them and be apart that way. But, for medical reasons, I would not be able to. Sorry about that.
So you're capable, councillor, that said yes, that you would do it until it was fully charged and the charge ran out with no police escort and just before or after the evaluation that you're going to do for the pilot season?
That's what she said, Glenn.
Yeah. So are you going to hold yourself to that, councillor?
I'm sorry. Your question is, do you want me to ride around on a scooter in HRM from a full charge to empty? Is that the question?
Yes.
Well, I can't think of any reason that I would, but I don't have any immediate fear about e-scooters, if that's your question.
Okay, and would you invite the rest of council plus the mayor to, would you suggest it for them to do it?
Well, no, I wouldn't tell council to do that. No. Would you like it? I guess I'm kind of tipping over on what you're trying to get at, Glenn. So
well, what I'm trying to get at is I don't think that these e-scooters are safe for the city of Halifax. I think they're the most vulnerable mode of transportation ever invented to be run and recommended on these city streets with bike lanes that don't continue and on the actual streets. I mean, all they are is a glorified skateboard with a handle and a motor. That's why. And I would like to know if the council is ready to, instead of putting the residents on risk, is council ready to experience it to see if there is a risk? That's my point, Councillor.
Well, I mean, I have tried them. I tried them downtown. To your point, would they be my preferred mode of transportation? No, they would not be my preferred, but I wouldn't say that I'm scared of them, if that's what you're getting at.
Councillor Hartling, we know this is it's a pilot project with the company that's providing this service, right? Is it a 2-year pilot? Is it a 1-year in a review? How does that work? Do we know?
Yeah, it is a pilot project. I'm trying to think of when it will be returning to council, but I understand that overall the pilot is quite successful in terms of overall ridership. I have not been, the pilot project results have not yet returned to council, but based off of my understanding to date, it has been quite successful. It's
been a question of liability should somebody get injured on one of these things. Do we know if I think the company's name's Bird, if they take responsibility for that, or is HRM, or do we know how that works?
I don't personally know the answer to that. I think that the rider has some personal liability, and I do believe that you have to sign a waiver when you sign up for the Bird Bike program. I believe that there's a waiver involved.
Councillor Deagle Gammon, your thoughts on scooters?
Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you, Glenn, for the question. So I have actually concerns about the e-scooters, to be honest, but it's more about the people who ride them without helmets. That bothers me. I have been in and around the peninsula and seen people on e-scooters when they don't have helmets on, and I fear for them and for other people. So when the report does come back to Regional Council, I'll be looking at some of those things. It bothers me to see them, nobody is on them, and they're either lying in the path of a sidewalk, and so they're impeding pedestrians and safety. I know that you can call a phone number and Bird tries to get there as quickly as they can to retrieve them, but I actually will be looking very closely at the report that comes back on the pilot, and it's the one part is like people using them not safely, and the other thing is how quickly the company can retrieve them when they are impeding pedestrians as well, and what kind of enforcement that they're doing. When people are there and I see the helmet on the handlebars as opposed to on somebody's head, so that bothers me.
Right.
Do we know who is the onus of enforcement? Would that be on bylaw? Would that be on HRP? Would that be on the company? Who's in charge of enforcing the rules?
And then I think because it's a pilot project, those are a lot of the questions that the pilot is to answer, to be honest with you. I think that it's a combination of all those factors. If HRP is seeing them, should they be stopping them? Is that really what we want our police force to be doing? Compliance, how many officers do we have and where are they? And are they going to be seeing them? Is there a way for Bird is there some kind of technology that can be implemented that can help them see that people are using them as they should? So I think that that's all of the things that we're going to be looking at that report to tell us.
902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. We're going to stop for an update, and Councillors on the Hot Seat continues. You're listening to the Todd Veinotte Show. I'm Dan Aalders. We're back in minutes. Welcome back to the Todd Veinotte Show. It is Councillors on the Hot Seats. Your chance to ask some municipal politicians your questions. And joining us on the phone today, I think this is the third week in a row we've had councillors on the phone because of the weather. Anyway, District 13, that's Prospect Road, St. Margaret's, and that's Nancy Hartling. And District 1, Waverley, Fall River, Musquodoboit Valley. And, of course, the chair of the Budget Committee, and that is Cathy, Deagle, Gammon. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. We'll go right back to the phone lines. We've got several callers today. And we'll begin with Mike. Mike, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I was going to talk about Roby Street. I have a question about Roby Street, but I have one statement about the e-scooters the last guy called in about.
Sure.
I'm just wondering, at the end of the day, I mean, helmets on a motorized vehicle are a provincial law. So regardless about this pilot project or not, should HRP not be enforcing that?
Well, I think
it's law regardless.
I absolutely agree with you, Mike. I'm sure it's in the Motor Vehicle Act somewhere, but it's a matter of the scale, right? Because there's, hundreds of these things riding around, and, are we going to dedicate HRP officers to chasing people for helmets?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, even if we have there are bicycle cops, maybe that can be part of their daily routine. I don't know.
Fair point. Anyway, Roby Street.
But yeah, so Roby Street. So if I'm correct, the bottleneck they're talking about is when you're heading south on Roby, the houses between North Street and Kennard. Those are the houses that are going to be torn down. Was that correct?
That's my understanding.
So why, in a middle of a housing crisis, are we not trying to go across the street and make the businesses move? Like that, 75% of that on the other street is the Chevy dealer, Irving Oil. There's a couple little markets there. I'm pretty sure that big church around the corner, I don't think that's used as a church anymore. I could be wrong on that. But so instead of putting all these people out of their homes, which are all multi-unit places, why did anyone look about going across the street and making these businesses move?
Start with you, Councillor Deagle Gammon.
Thank you, Mike, for the question. I don't think that the plan is entirely finished. So whether or not there are other properties in the future years that might be considered, I think that there is something that's happening there. And of course, because it's real estate and all of that, it's probably confidential. Also, it is where the architects of the bus rapid transit, the work that they have done, there was a pretty extensive report. If you go on the Halifax website, you will actually see the full report and the designs that they looked at and the rationale for the sites where they went. There is a significant amount of community that is upset about the homes that were being torn down for the bus rapid transit. And so we hear from them continually with some good information as well.
Councillor Hartling?
Yeah, if I could really only just repeat what Cathy said. That was a great answer, Cathy. I don't know that all the plans have been completely finalized, and even if they were, anything to do with real estate would be confidential. But that's a great explainer right there, Cathy. I would really encourage you, if you are interested in learning more, all the information about the current state is available online. If you'd like to email me, I'll happily send it to you.
There you go, Mike.
No, my biggest thing is just like I hope we're not kicking these people out of their home if that is what's going to happen, just because we don't want to fight with the businesses and because they have more money to fight it. I hope we're putting the residents first is what I'm getting at, especially in the middle of the housing crisis.
Fair point, Mike.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate that point a lot. Thank you very much, Mike.
Thanks.
On Robie Street, councillors, and I'll start with you, Councillor Hartling. $200 million, I think, is the number that the last number that I heard with regards to this project for a half a kilometer. Is it money well spent?
Unfortunately, I think the answer is yes. I think that when the mayor was on last, I think he explained it quite well. It's a pinch point that can't be resolved by other means. And I know that lots of people have asked the question, isn't there any way that we can deal with, sending 2 lanes in one direction during, the morning and then
reversing
2 lanes going in the other? Yeah, reversing lanes. They actually did do that as part of their initial studies. And what they found was that traffic in both directions was pretty consistent throughout the day, which is one of the reasons that they didn't pursue that idea any further. So, yeah, I just thought that I would mention that idea had been considered and studied, and they decided that it was not a reasonable solution for what they were trying to achieve.
Councillor Deagle, Gammon, $200 million for a half a kilometer, money well spent?
It's scary, isn't it?
Right.
I mean, anybody was going to look at that number and say, Mother of God, what is this? But it is, when we think about the exact location and everything that needs to happen, like even this is 2 years delayed. If it was 2 years before, would it have been less expensive than the $200 million? Most likely. The more all of this stuff gets delayed, the more expensive it's going to get. So it needs to get done. But yes, it is a lot of money.
And I haven't poured into the documents, and either councillor can answer this. Do we have an estimate of a percentage of improvement once these lanes are? Do we know if this is how many more people this is going to move?
I want to say yes, that is in the documentation, but I apologize. In this moment, I can't find it in my brain, but that information is available.
902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Let us go to Sean. Sean, how are you?
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Good morning, Sean.
Hi. I'm not going to grill you on riding an e-scooter this morning like the other gentleman. I need you guys to help me explain this to me like I'm 8, okay? Police budgets and fines and all kinds of stuff. Where does that money go? So if in the HRM, if you get a red light violation, a speeding violation, any type, does that go provincially or does that stay in the HRM?
Councillor Hartling?
I honestly don't know the answer to that. I think about bylaw things, to be honest with you, because I know that, bylaw tickets are part of the municipal budget. I don't think it does.
Because I'm just wondering, everybody's up in arms. We're all up in arms. We're finding reasons for budgetary purposes, like policing budget. The last I might have heard, all fines go to the provincial government, but the HRP is the one doing the work, and they're the one, unless they're getting money federally or provincially for the HRP as well. But if they're doing the work, making that fine money, shouldn't it stay in the HRM?
Councillor Deagle, Gammon.
So I want to say that I think that it's a combination of places, but and my confidence in this answer is a little bit shady. But shady, that's the wrong word to say, isn't it? Paying a ticket actually does go to the province. But they're say if there's a bylaw fine, then it would come to HRM. But if it's a fine that's under the Motor Vehicle Act, it does go to the province.
So why would that? I'm just curious. Like I said, I need to know. Like I'm 8 years old. Like why would our police force that we pay for that money go provincially? Wouldn't that help our police budget, our infrastructure, everything out? The traffic services, anything? I'm just confused by that.
Right.
I'm doing a little bit of research. Oh, I'm sorry, Cathy, go ahead.
No, go for it.
No, I was going to say I think that the answer is that there's, if I understand correctly, that when you get like a summary offense ticket or something like that, even though I think a municipally paid employee might give you the ticket, and some of the revenue from those tickets, I do believe, flows back to HRM, but there's a provincial component in there as well. So I think it's a matter of percentages.
There you go.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. We're up against the break. We're going to take that break, and Councillors on the Hot Seat's going to continue on the other side. You're listening to the Todd Veinotte Show. I'm Dan Aalders, and we are back in minutes. Welcome back to the Todd Veinotte Show. It is Councillors on the Hot Seats. Your chance to ask some municipal politicians your questions. And joining us on the phone today, I think this is the third week in a row we've had councillors on the phone because of the weather. Anyway, District 13, that's Prospect Road, St. Margaret's, and that's Nancy Hartling. And District 1, Waverley, Fall River, Musquodoboit Valley. And, of course, the chair of the Budget Committee, and that is Cathy Deagle Gammon. 902-405-6000. 1-877-801-8255. We'll go right back to the phone lines. We've got several callers today. And we'll begin with Mike. Mike, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I was going to talk about Roby Street. I have a question about Roby Street, but I have one statement about the e-scooters the last guy called in about.
Sure.
I'm just wondering, at the end of the day, I mean, helmets on a motorized vehicle are a provincial law. So regardless about this pilot project or not, should HRP not be enforcing that?
Well, I think
it's law regardless.
I absolutely agree with you, Mike. I'm sure it's in the Motor Vehicle Act somewhere, but it's a matter of the scale, right? Because there's hundreds of these things riding around, and are we going to dedicate HRP officers to chasing people for helmets?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, even if we have there are bicycle cops, maybe that can be part of their daily routine. I don't know.
Fair point. Anyway, Roby Street.
But yeah, so Roby Street. So if I'm correct, the bottleneck they're talking about is when you're heading south on Roby, the houses between North Street and Kennard. Those are the houses that are going to be torn down. Was that correct?
That's my understanding.
So why, in the middle of a housing crisis, are we not trying to go across the street and make the businesses move? Like that, 75% of that on the other street is the Chevy dealer, Irving Oil. There's a couple little markets there. I'm pretty sure that big church around the corner, I don't think that's used as a church anymore. I could be wrong on that. But so instead of putting all these people out of their homes, which are all multi-unit places, why did anyone look about going across the street and making these businesses move?
Start with you, Councillor Deagle Gammon.
Thank you, Mike, for the question. I don't think that the plan is entirely finished. So whether or not there are other properties in the future years that might be considered, I think that there is something that's happening there. And of course, because it's real estate and all of that, it's probably confidential. Also, it is where the architects of the bus rapid transit, the work that they have done, there was a pretty extensive report. If you go on the Halifax website, you will actually see the full report and the designs that they looked at and the rationale for the sites where they went. There is a significant amount of community that is upset about the homes that were being torn down for the bus rapid transit. And so we hear from them continually with some good information as well.
Councillor Hartling?
Yeah, if I could really only just repeat what Cathy said. That was a great answer, Cathy. I don't know that all the plans have been completely finalized, and even if they were, anything to do with real estate would be confidential. But that's a great explainer right there, Cathy. I would really encourage you, if you are interested in learning more, all the information about the current state is available online. If you'd like to email me, I'll happily send it to you.
There you go, Mike.
No, my biggest thing is just like I hope we're not kicking these people out of their home if that is what's going to happen, just because we don't want to fight with the businesses and because they have more money to fight it. I hope we're putting the residents first is what I'm getting at, especially in the middle of a housing crisis.
Fair point, Mike.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate that point a lot. Thank you very much, Mike.
Thanks.
On Robie Street, councillors, and I'll start with you, Councillor Hartling. $200 million, I think, is the number that the last number that I heard with regards to this project for a half a kilometer. Is it money well spent?
Unfortunately, I think the answer is yes. I think that when the mayor was on last, I think he explained it quite well. It's a pinch point that can't be resolved by other means. And I know that lots of people have asked the question, isn't there any way that we can deal with, sending 2 lanes in one direction during, the morning and then
reversing
2 lanes
lanes.
going in the other? Yeah, reversing lanes. They actually did do that as part of their initial studies. And what they found was that traffic in both directions was pretty consistent throughout the day, which is one of the reasons that they didn't pursue that idea any further. So, yeah, I just thought that I would mention that idea had been considered and studied, and they decided that it was not a reasonable solution for what they were trying to achieve.
Councillor Deagle, Gammon, $200 million for a half a kilometer, money well spent?
It's scary, isn't it?
Right.
I mean, anybody would look at that number and say, Mother of God, what is this? Yeah, it is, when we think about the exact location and everything that needs to happen, even this is 2 years delayed. If it was 2 years before, would it have been less expensive than the $200 million? Most likely. The more all of this stuff gets delayed, the more expensive it's going to get. So it needs to get done. But yes, it is a lot of money.
And I haven't poured into the documents, and neither councillor can answer this. Do we have an estimate of a percentage of improvement once these lanes are? Do we know if this is how many more people this is going to move?
I want to say yes, that is in the documentation, but I apologize. In this moment, I can't find it in my brain, but that information is available.
902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Let us go to Sean. Sean, how are you?
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Good morning, Sean.
Hi. I'm not going to grill you on riding an e-scooter this morning like the other gentleman. I need you guys to help me explain this to me like I'm 8, okay? Police budgets and fines and all kinds of stuff. Where does that money go? So if in the HRM, if you get a red light violation, a speeding violation, any type, does that go provincially or does that stay in the HRM?
Councillor Hartling?
I honestly don't know the answer to that. I think about bylaw things, to be honest with you, because I know that, bylaw tickets are part of the municipal budget. I don't think it does.
Because I'm just wondering, everybody's up in arms. We're all up in arms. We're finding, reasons for budgetary purposes, like policing budget. The last I might have heard, all fines go to the provincial government, but the HRP is the one doing the work, and they're the one, unless they're getting money federally or provincially for the HRP as well. But if they're doing the work, making that fine money, shouldn't it stay in the HRM?
Councillor Deagle, Gammon.
So I want to say that I think that it's a combination of places, but and my confidence in this answer is a little bit shady. But shady, that's the wrong word to say, isn't it? But paying a ticket actually does go to the province. But they're like, say if there's a bylaw fine, then it would come to HRM. But if it's a fine that's under the Motor Vehicle Act, it does go to the province.
So why would that? I'm just curious. Like I said, I need to know. Like, I'm 8 years old. Like, why would our police force that we pay for, that money go provincially? Wouldn't that help our police budget, our infrastructure, everything out? The traffic services, anything? I'm just confused by that.
Right.
So I'm doing a little bit of research. Oh, I'm sorry, Cathy. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
No, I was going to say I think that the answer is that there's, if I understand correctly, that when you get like a summary offense ticket or something like that, even though I think a municipally paid employee might give you the ticket, and some of the revenue from those tickets, I do believe, flows back to HRM, but there's a provincial component in there as well. So I think it's a matter of percentages.
There you go.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. We're up against the break. We're going to take that break, and Councillors on the Hot Seat's going to continue on the other side. You're listening to the Todd Veinotte Show. I'm Dan Aalders, and we are back in minutes. All right, a few minutes left in this edition of Councillors on the Hot Seat. In case you're just joining us on the phone today, District 1, Waverley, Fall River, Musquodoboit Valley, Councillor Cathy Deagle Gammon, and District 13, Prospect Road, St. Margarets, and that's Nancy Hartling. If you have a question, 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255, and we say now hello to Yvonne. Yvonne, how are you?
Oh, well, not too bad, I just have a question for the councillors, but because they're not in this area that I'm going to be talking about, but we'll see what happens here.
Sure, go ahead.
I just want to talk about the George Dixon Centre. I know it's an HRM facility. It's been there for quite a long time. The clearing of the snow there, I called up 311 yesterday complaining about the snow clearing, and because I'm a totally blind individual, I use that pathway from Gottingen Street going to the building a lot, twice a week. And this past weekend, I went there and I'm trying to get into the facility where the pathway is, and it was blocked with a big mountain of snow. Once I got onto the other side, like on the other side of the snow, that is, the pathway was cleared. I'm going to say approximately about 80% of the pathway was cleared up to where the building is. So then I've come to find out from people that work there that none of the pathways at the end are cleared. Well, there was a lady, I don't know, approximately about between 5 to 10 years ago maybe, worked there, and apparently she walked up this pathway as well when she worked there. I guess she didn't drive. And fell and hurt herself quite severely. And then they told her, I guess somebody told her that they would try to do this clearing of the pathway, at least, But I'm talking basically, and that was unfortunate. The thing is, I guess what I'm trying to wonder, the thing that the 311 was telling me yesterday, they don't have a contract for the pathways at the George Dixon Centre. They have it for the parking lot, but I guess my biggest question is, if you guys have a contract for the parking lot and, 80% of some of the pathways are done, and especially that main one going out to Gottingen Street, why aren't these pathways getting cleared out totally, so then people like myself and wheelchairs could get through those areas? And to me, it's a safety concern.
Councillors, anybody want to take that one?
Well, absolutely. This is Cathy here. Thank you, Yvonne, for calling in and letting us know about this. I will commit to talking with the councillor for the area, Councillor Hinch, and also to find out from Parks and Rec, because I guess I'm trying to figure out if these pathways, if they're HRM pathways and they should be clear. That doesn't sound like a very good deal at all. Was it? I know that sidewalks and pathways have a certain time frame from a snow event and when they can be done. So I'm not sure if that might have been the issue, but listening to you, Yvonne, it sounds like that's not it, and that they don't have a contract to do them. So we need to figure out how to get that back on track.
It just doesn't make totally any sense to me. Why would they have a contract for the parking lot and not the pathways? I mean, people walk, not everybody drives. Yeah. And that's what I told the lady at 311 yesterday. I don't drive. Right. People clear the roads if I did. But anyway, it was just absolutely ridiculous.
My apologies, Yvonne. It could be the difference of the kind of equipment that they need. If you're doing a parking lot, it's a different machine, right, a plow, than if they're doing a pathway or a trail. So it could be that, but I'll commit to actually checking it out and with Councillor Hinch for you.
Thanks, Yvonne. I appreciate the call. Be safe out there. Councillor Deagle, Gammon, do we contract all of our snow removal, even at community centres and such, like on pathways? Is it all contracted, or is it municipal, or how does that work?
There is a percentage that is done by municipal staff, but the vast majority is contracted.
Right. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Before we get back to the phone lines, councillors, I'd like to ask you a question about the forum. Certainly has been a topic of discussion here on this program for several months, if not years. The mayor on Thursday or Wednesday, I think it was, said that it's time for HRM to say goodbye to the Halifax Forum. And I'll start with you, Councillor Hartling. Your thoughts on that building here in the North End?
Yeah, so the mayor submitted or requested a pause, and I think that we all agree that that's not a bad idea in principle. I think really the devil will be in the details in this one. Okay, so first of all, I think we all agree that the forum in its current condition can't stay on. So we're here. We aren't in a place where we can, spruce up the forum anymore. Like the challenges with the forum make it not recoverable, if I could put it that way. The mayor's, from what I understand and from what he said to date, is that he would like to sell the land that the forum is on and, put a 2-pad someplace else on the peninsula.
That's what I got out of it.
I don't know. Yeah. I think it's worth pursuing, but as I understand, that idea had already been pursued in the past. I don't know really where there is that land available. So I think that that's probably the first question that needs answering is that if it's not going to be there, then where is it going to be? And I think for anybody who's ever been to the forum or uses the forum, they would know that it's so much more than just 2 pads of ice, right? So how do we make accommodations for what everything else that the forum represents beyond 2 pads of ice? So I think in principle it's a good idea, but I think that those questions are still open. They're open questions right now. So I guess there's about a year to figure it out, but that's kind of where I am right now.
Councillor Deagle, Gammon, your thoughts on the forum?
Another big conversation, right? So the what I'm really worried about is that we've already been talking about the roof and what the snow load that roof can handle. So as Councillor Hartling said, the current condition, we're putting a lot of money in maintenance, and so you always have to look at what is the cost benefit of maintaining versus actually doing something. You've also got the issue around the heritage designation, and so we have to figure that piece out, and that will go to the heritage committee and then back to regional council. So far, what we've agreed to was like the spirit of the forum. I believe in the last report there were 3 options that were presented, and what is currently on the table was called the spirit of the forum. Where they're at with that. One of the things in the mayor's motion that I think people maybe didn't hear as clearly was that he still saying like the ice surface to move, which would free up some land, but to maintain the community center facility component of the forum. So there's a lot to look at and to see what those discussions might come up with. It is interesting if you're going to sell a piece of land, but then you also need to buy a piece of land. So again, we're going to have to look at what will this report come back and tell us and try to make the best decision possible. It is, again, a big ticket item with the forum, and we need to look at those big ticket items as carefully as we can.
Cathy, technical question here. If we pause this plan, this project, as the mayor has requested, does that come out of the budget this year? Would it free up the however many millions were earmarked for the forum for this year?
I think it might not so much free up, but just maybe move, maybe from one budget year to the next kind of thing, right? Because, again, we don't know exactly what is going to come out of the report that will come forward again. And so, yeah, I don't think that we actually can answer that question yet. Again, we need to have to also consider where it does have heritage designation, and we need to figure out if any new plan comes forward, what happens with that. So it's too early to tell, I guess, is the best answer to your question.
All right, we're just about out of time. Councillor Hartling, what's happening in District 13?
Well, it's a snowy day. I can tell you that in District 13. What I would like to mention, though, is that there has been a rescheduling for the Beachville Lakeside Timberley open house for the suburban plan. So for residents of District 13, we are rural, we are not suburban, but lots of folks have lots of opinions about the suburban plan. So I just wanted to make sure that people know, due to the road conditions, the suburban planning team has postponed today's open house. It was from 2 to 5:30 at the Lakeside Fire Hall, and the new date is February 9th from 2 to 4 and 5:30 to 8 at the Lakeside Fire Hall. So the new date is February 9th.
Kathy, what's happening in District 1?
Well, District 1 is a very happening place, to be honest. We're great. We're having a bit of a time, of course, with the road conditions and all of that kind of stuff, but it's a beautiful, snowy day to get out and enjoy. That's about it.
All right.
We're busy. I feel like my brain is full into budget right now.
There you go. Well, I understand it's a busy time of the year, and I appreciate you both spending an hour with us. Councillor Deagle, Gammon, Councillor Hartling, my enduring gratitude, and we'll chat soon.
Thanks again, Dan.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to stop down. We're going to take a break here for the news, and on the other side of it, it's time for the open hour, the first open hour of the week. Your opportunity to perhaps discuss something you heard on Councillors on the Hot Seat, maybe something that didn't get raised, or something else that's on your mind. That's the beauty of the open hour. Regular rules apply. You can bring anything to the table. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. And did we see more control move to the Premier's office on the weekend? I'll explain after the update. All right, welcome back. It's Monday. It's another snowy day. I won't call it a snow day because kids are going back to school. There was delayed openings, and there are delayed openings across HRM today as we dig out from a third consecutive Sunday into Monday storm. This one, I think it's fair to say, and I know that some of you will take exception that are in the outlying areas that got more snow than we did in HRM, but this one probably the least severe of the three that we've had in January, and of course this one is in February, and it looks like the cleanup effort is well underway. I think it wasn't as long in duration, definitely, as it was a week before, and they had, at least in my neighborhood, the plows were out very early last night. I could hear them going all night, and this morning the roads were fairly black. There was a couple of side streets on my way in this morning that were a little greasy. But I'm looking out over Roby Street right now, and it's black, and the side streets that around Yonge and Roby here appear to be have been salted and are getting down to bare pavement. So it looks like despite all of the concern on the lead up to and then on the weekend that we've managed to escape another one. I think the biggest story for me on this most recent storm is that we saw some pretty big gusts of wind, and some were suggesting they could get as high as 70 or even 80 kilometers an hour. And we didn't. There weren't widespread power outages. There were a few scattered ones, but not anything as significant as we've seen as of late with these storms. So, many of you were worried about the electricity and keeping the lights on And that doesn't appear to have been an issue. As I mentioned off the top of the program today, in hour number 3, we will bring our meteorologist Allister Aalders in and get some details and data on the storm. And then we will see what's up next. Is there another Sunday, Monday storm coming in? We'll have to see. The weather, however, did play a role in the cancellation of a yearly event up there at the Shubenacadie Wildlife Park, and that is the annual prediction of Shubenacadie Sam, who was all set and was getting ready to have her prediction for the year. And then yesterday, around supper time, we got a release from the provincial government that said that Groundhog Day has been canceled because of the threat of blowing snow and unsafe driving conditions. The part about this, and I mused about that before the break, is, and maybe it's just because I'm reading a little too much into this, but the folks out at Shubenacadie Park there, Groundhog Day is their day, right? It's a busy day up there. People travel to see Sam make that prediction and so on and so forth, and they are very big on building the lore, and you know, there's a Shubenacadie Sam webcam and everything else, and the 3-line release from the province said this, that Groundhog Day at the Shubenacadie Wildlife Park is canceled due to the forecast for blowing snow, which could create unsafe driving conditions for people traveling to the park. That I agree. Here's where I start to raise questions. Shubenacadie Sam will not see a shadow, not didn't see a shadow, not has said that she likely won't see a shadow, said that if talked to officials that said that, you know, because of the forecasted conditions, the chances of seeing this, it just says Shubenacadie Sam will not see a shadow. And then it goes on to read that, which according to folklore means an early spring. So I was musing before the break that the Premier's office is been criticized, I would say, in the past over the last year or so for trying to control all the messaging and have it all come from the Premier's office. Maybe speaking for Shubenacadie Sam? I don't know. Having a little bit of fun. Anyway, I know that the folks up at the Shubenacadie Wildlife Park will be disappointed because it is a big event this time of the year for the park and for Sam. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Very quickly before we go to the telephone lines, I want to send my congratulations to the dual Nova Scotia curling squads that performed so well at the Scotty Tournament of Hearts in Mississauga on the weekend. We all watched on Saturday as Christina Black and her foursome battled in I guess it would be the quarterfinals. The page system is a little bit bizarre, if you ask me, but and ended up losing to Alberta after playing our other Nova Scotia team, and both from the Halifax Curling Club. And I know that there were a lot of smiley faces on Friday when that match was happening, and both teams have performed so well. Taylor Stevens and Christina Black and their teams having an outstanding tournament. Christina Black's had an outstanding year, to be quite honest. I think it shows that Nova Scotia curling is on the rise. It wasn't that long ago, folks, that there was some concern that we'd have a provincial representative at the national events, at the Brier and at the Scotties. And now Nova Scotia is returning to prominence, at least in women's curling. There's some momentum on the men's side of the draw as well, and that bodes well for curling here in Nova Scotia. And if you've curled before, if you're an active curler or you were in the past, you know that curling does not happen here in Nova Scotia without hundreds of volunteers and tens of thousands of volunteer hours working on ice, doing events, getting bonspiels up and running, teaching classes, getting community events, getting people into the sport. It doesn't happen with all of that help. And so this is a tip of the hat to all of the volunteers that are working at all of the Nova Scotia curling clubs across the province who are growing the sport. It was in decline for several years, folks. and it looks like it's coming back, as they would say. So congratulations to Stevens and to Black, and boy, things are looking pretty bright for them as we roll through 2026. And of course, the Olympic Games are about to begin. Can you believe it's already here? And we're going to talk to Ken Bagnell a little bit later in the program today to tee up what we should be watching for and some maritime content at the Olympic Games in Cortina, or Milano Cortina, this year. And of course, I know many of you are going to be watching that very closely, particularly on the ice, on the hockey sheet, on the hockey rink. And it looks like the rink is ready, or is going to be ready. And we have lots of Nova Scotia content on both the women's and on the men's sides. And we're looking forward to watching that tournament, like many of you will. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. We welcome Donna to the show. Donna, how are you?
Oh, I'm not too bad. Thank you for taking my call. Actually, now, I was on Facebook last night, and I take a lot of stuff there with a grain of salt. But there was a couple of articles that I read, and I Googled to see if they were in fact true. Have you heard about the armed break-in in a chemical lab in London, Ontario, at Western University?
No, that's the first
I've
I've
seen
heard
nothing on the news. And I've jotted down a few little things. It's a terrorist alert. And early January the 24th, even the explosive disposal unit was deployed. Homes were evacuated. Streets were shut down. The decontamination shower was brought in. 4 Chinese students were arrested and charged. They're facing firearm offenses because luckily there was a student. It happened, I think, about 1:40 in the morning, and there was a student in the lab, and he was the one that alerted the campus security about the break-in. Thank God he was there. Otherwise, who knows what would have happened. But these 4 Chinese, I don't know if they were students or whatever, they were arrested, charged with firearm offenses, break and enter, possession of explosive, and that's it. Now, I'm hoping that, where was the media on this story? Where was our Prime Minister on this story? And hopefully all labs and university labs, chemical labs across Canada have been alerted, because if it happened there, it could happen anywhere. But did you hear that story?
I'm actually reading
Google it.
reading it on our website right now. So yes, as a matter of fact, that's the first I'd heard of
now,
it, but I had not read
Have you
it.
seen anything about that on the news?
Oh, well, I'm reading it on.
It happened January the 24th.
It did, and I'm reading it on on our website, Donna. So it certainly was posted 6 days ago.
No, but I've seen nothing. What I meant was on TV.
Oh, well, I can't speak for what they do on the television, but it was certainly on our website.
Oh, okay. Because I saw something there about CTV and CBC, but it wasn't. I didn't see a thing on the news, and I watch the news all the time. And another thing, there in Peel Police, anyway, they launched a hate crime unit. Peel Police is crawling with human traffickers there. I was surprised at that story, too, but that's another story. Anyway, getting back to the curling, you had mentioned the curling.
Yep.
There's 2 Nova Scotia teams. They played in a tournament not that long ago, and you're right, the curling is coming back because a lot of my nephews and nieces curl. But anyway, it was an under-18 team, under 18 whatever, the boys, and there was 13 teams played, and 2 qualified to go to the Nationals. They're going this month, actually. I can't remember the date, but they're going this month up to Timmins, Ontario, to the Nationals. And I just want to wish both teams all the best. One of them happens to be my nephew's son's team, Henry Team Salzman, and they're off. So, and I wish all of them good luck. Both teams, all the best up there at the Nationals.
As do I,
and
Donna.
You are right. Curling is coming back.
You bet.
There's a lot of kids now curling, in that, even in that tournament for 13 teams to participate. That's good.
There you go. Donna, I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Telephone lines, folks, wide open. If you want to get in and share your thoughts on the issues of the day, great opportunity to do that. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. We're back after the break. Very well, Welcome back. Open Hour continues. Lines are wide open, folks. It seems everybody's out shoveling. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Good opportunity to get onto the show. If very little waiting. The lines are wide open. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. A couple of email responses to our conversation earlier in the program today on Councillors on the Hot Seat when it comes to e-scooters. And Gloria writes, in response to the councillors indicating the riders sign a waiver, by signing this waiver, who is removed from any responsibility in the event of an accident and or casualties, and then who is actually responsible? Waivers are always an interesting thing, right? You sign a waiver and absolve the company, or in this case, perhaps the municipality and the company, of any issues with regards to injury or damage, or maybe even death if it's one of these e-scooters. It's always an interesting thing, and it's always full of legalese, and hesitant to say what the answer is reading the waivers, as I'm not a lawyer. But one of our callers earlier in the day today questioned our two councillors here on the program if they go for a ride on an e-scooter until the battery ran out. And I sat and I was thinking about it, and e-scooters, and maybe it's because I'm over 50, and maybe it's because I don't have the same balance that I had when I was younger. But watching some of these e-scooters, and I've seen several of them, and I will admit I've never actually actively been on one on a street. I was on one here in a hallway, which I probably shouldn't have done. But just and maybe there are other options available for these things. Like the ones that I see have one foot in front of the other, right? In that traditional scooter stance, and then you hold onto the handlebars and off you go. And they've got fairly wide tires on them. So if it's anything like a motorcycle, I would suggest that the wider the tires, the more balance you have. With that being said, I don't know if my body would do well with one foot in front of the other, ripping down a road or a bike lane with those things. I guess maybe I'd have to try it, but it certainly isn't. Would not be my method of transportation. I think I would probably do much better on an e-bike rather than an e-scooter. But anyway, that's is that. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Let's go to the telephone lines and say hello to Vern. Vern, how are you?
I'm very good this morning. I thought to myself this morning, oh man, I got to call Dan.
Okay, well, here you go.
Here we go. Hydro. Our hydro system here in Nova Scotia is right off the wall. We all know this.
It is.
Isn't there a law? I'm not sure which act it is, but a company, it's against the law for them to charge for a product or a service that they do not provide.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense. I think it's under the Combines Act or something. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't know the legalities of it. But there is a fact, a law for that. And Nova Scotia Power has the ability to hire people and read meters, just like any other city or area that they do that before smart meters ever were.
Yep.
And they should check up on the smart meters anyway. Shouldn't they do a spot check and check? You know, we're just assuming that it's right, which we don't really know. So this assumption that we've used so much hydro, like my wife and I, we've been on vacation, so we haven't been here. We turn everything down in the house. And our hydro bill is more than it was last year.
Yeah.
We weren't here.
Right.
So,
estimated bills are wonderful things, aren't they?
But estimations it should be against the law. They shouldn't be allowed to do that because there are people that are estimated. It's all estimated wrong. We can't say that an estimation is correct in any fashion.
Right.
Right? It's a guess.
Yeah, it's a guess, but I think the counter argument, and not suggesting that I agree with it, but the counter argument is that, you know, once they do get an accurate reading and then are able to see how much electricity you used, then they said they would make you good, right? So, but you're right. You know, you're paying for something that you didn't do or you didn't use.
For how many months?
Right. It could be a year.
Right. So, like, I don't know, like if I were to do it to charge customers for stuff I didn't provide, I'm sure that the police would be knocking on my door.
Or you wouldn't get any return business, that's for sure.
That's for sure, right? But we don't have a choice here, right?
Nope.
And here's the other thing. They're promoting everybody to go to electrical systems, a heat pump, because it's more efficient.
Right.
Well, it's not environmental at all in Nova Scotia. It's the poorest thing in the planet to install a heat pump, because Nova Scotia Power uses the dirtiest fuel on the planet. So I'm using their dirty fuel, which then goes through the transmission lines, which loses a bunch. Then we're using it at a loss and at an expensive price, where if you burnt the oil right in your home, which I'm not suggesting is the best option for our environment. I'm not, I don't want to do that. But if you burn the oil in your home, you're going to get a bigger bang for your buck. You're going to heat your house, and you're going to pay less.
Fair points. All fair points, Vern.
Okay.
Have a good one.
All I got to say.
Hope you feel better.
Yeah, you too.
All right, man.
Yep.
Cheers.
Thanks. Bye.
902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. I find it interesting that I woke up this morning and I got to call Dan. Oh, no. Anyway, all the best, Vern, and I appreciate you doing that. It's estimated bills, and maybe I'm just being naive here, but I think that at the end of this, when we get back, if we ever get back to the way we were, we need to have a thorough discussion as a rate-paying community, as a utility that provides the service, about these kind of situations. Because I know Nova Scotia Power has said that they're not going to charge you any interest or any late fees or anything along those lines. But at the end of the day, there are still some of these estimates are out to lunch, right? I don't know how that process happens. If we're going to estimate, let's have a clear and transparent way that we do it. Okay, we can't read your meter. Oh, woe is me. So now, if we can't do that and we have to estimate, here's how we do it. X times Z plus Y. I'm not a math guy, can you tell? Anyway, then at least people know where it's coming from. It feels that some of these estimations that have showed up in people's mailboxes, they have no rhyme or reason. Open Hour continues after the news. All right, welcome back. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Lots of lines open, folks, if you want to get into the show. Again, 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Hello, David.
Hi, Dan. Yeah, I just want to start off, wish you a happy Groundhog Day.
Or canceled Groundhog Day, one or the other.
Yeah, well, it still comes. It's like Christmas. I mean, you take away the stockings and the tree, does it arrive? And yeah, it surely does. So, basically I wanted to call about it. And it's, it's a nice holiday. I really like it. And, it's a shame, or I wish we could maybe do more societally to elevate it. And, the government did create this sort of holiday end of January or something because of the sort of perceived need for a sort of day of rest in the winter where the nights are long and, days are cold and all that kind of stuff. So I really wish Groundhog Day could have been that instead. But, one of the reasons why I guess I recently listened to a show is on the CBC, and it's sort of, the holidays come, Christmas, and it's so bright and beautiful and families around and you got all this good food, and then it ends. And you kind of get this sort of malaise that sets in and how to sort of deal with that,
right.
But also just winter generally. And that's sort of the answer was on the show, at least the guest provided, is, lead into it and sort of do the things that are fun and you can only do in winter, but sort of also maybe try to work through some of those difficult feelings that winter brings around. And actually the Nutcracker, it's a Christmas kind of classic, but it's sort of more about that it's sort of, winter is a gateway into sort of a different kind of world, a sort of different way of existing, one less sort of embodied, day-to-day activities for some of us, at least anyway. Life slows down more where you kind of have to live in your mind, maybe you read books, watch TV, movies, all that kind of stuff, which, can have really beneficial sort of, effects, it's sort of, explore the nature of our existence and all that kind of stuff. But also, too, we look forward to spring and summer. So I think Groundhog Day is just kind of a nice way to sort of, celebrate that and look forward to something, but also just maybe try to appreciate winter and sort of, the opportunities as well as the challenges that it presents. So, regardless, it's always something I look forward to and, same again next year, I guess.
All right, David. Appreciate it.
Yeah, right on.
Happy Groundhog Day. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. We do have a February holiday, right? We got that a few years ago. It's Heritage Day or Family Day for some provinces, and well needed, I think. And to David's point, it's the darkest time of the year, right? And that's just daylight hours. It's that big exhale after Christmas, right? Everybody gets wound up and excited for Christmas, and then that week, and then New Year's, and then the bills start to come in, and they call it Blue Monday, and then it's a long haul, particularly when Easter, depending on where Easter fits, right? It's interesting that we have Groundhog Day. It started, as my understanding was that it started as an event, a tourism event to get people to these communities in Puxatawney and in Wyerton, and then we started to see different provinces and different cities get their own prognosticating animals. I don't even know what to call them anymore, because we've got a lobster here, and we've got, of course, Shubenacadie Sam, marmot, or groundhog, or rodent, depending on who you speak to. So it's based on tourism. My understanding of the whole reason why they did it was just to get people out, and maybe that's to David's point. Maybe it is to get people out to lean into winter. I feel, and this is just my opinion, that we have become timid when it comes to wintertime and weather. I think we've become more concerned about the potential bad stuff that can happen with a winter storm rather than the good stuff. You remember when you were a kid and it snowed? Right? It was a lot of fun. Anyway, I know that people have suggested that we have become, I think Rick used to call it weather wimps, but I get it. I get that that we're more concerned about safety than ever, but maybe we've become a little timid to winter, and maybe the solution is to like David said, to lean into it, to embrace it a little more and get out there and enjoy it. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Let's say hello to Greg. Greg, how are you?
How you doing, Dan?
I'm all right. What's on your mind?
Good. I got 2 beefs and a bouquet.
Fair enough. Beefs first.
The school should have been closed,
right,
in my opinion. And I would like to bring to the attention of the hard-working men and women who plow the individual driveways. I implore them to stop bringing their product from their customers and putting it on the roads. Not this storm, not the first one. I saw a young girl. She lost her spoiler, and because someone had put that across the road before the municipal could. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I hear you. That sometimes snow plowers will move it across the street, or they'll create those great big snow mounds on the road. It's, as I understand it, it's against the bylaw.
I believe it is illegal, and I told the young girl, I stopped to help her, and I said, call the police and either charge the individual or the homeowner. That's not fair. Get an articulating plow that when you come in, it goes off on either side.
Right.
Anyway, that's just my rant. And my bouquet, I don't know if you had the chance to go over and see the ice sculptures in Dartmouth.
No, but I heard they're beautiful.
Oh, my gosh. My wife and my sister-in-law and her husband, we went Saturday night. It was phenomenal. Well done.
There you go.
And I'll tell you, you got to go, and people go see them. They're just amazing.
Thanks for that, Craig.
Have a good one, pal.
You too. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Hello, Rick.
Oh, it's Kirk, actually.
So, Kirk, sorry.
Yeah, hi. I'm just here to talk about the Ubisoft closures that happened earlier this month and go on a little bit of a rant about it, if that's okay.
Yep.
So I remember when they first opened it was 2015, and there was a lot of optimism when that happened, because we always wanted to see Halifax sort of become more developed in terms of not just industry but software development.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? And Ubisoft is one of those companies. I think they're worth somewhere about 3 billion euros worldwide in total equity.
They're based out of France or something, are they not?
They're a European company, but they have branches in the U.S. and they have Ubisoft Montreal and Quebec. And I was a big fan of this company for a very long time. I probably invested in buying their various games and products and software, probably hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars over the course of my life.
Okay.
They shut down they shut down their Halifax branch that was about 10 years here, and 75 people lost their jobs.
Yeah, I heard it was 81, but you're probably right.
So the reason they shut down this office, well, there's two reasons. One, they wanted to do a restructuring program in order to bring in new financiers.
Okay.
Secondly, I find it appalling that this happened. They shut down the Halifax office. They announced it 3 days after there was a vote for those workers to unionize.
Right.
How is it legal in this country? I find it a very weird coincidence that they got shut down after unionizing. And now Rob Ashton of the NDP, he's one of the candidates. He wants to call this sort of behavior out for corporations to be accountable. Because really, it looked like union busting in the guise of restructuring, in my opinion. Or it was just a Hail Mary on the attempt of the employees.
You're not alone in that at all, Kirk. A lot of people are saying that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, and I feel kind of betrayed, too, because, these are people in my community who put in long, hard hours developing software engineers, right? We know what those workloads are like for these people, right?
Yeah, they're busy.
They're working 70-hour weeks on these desks, programming Lord knows what.
Yes, sir.
Furthermore, yes. And so on top of which, in 2026, what's really stopping anyone from just going on their computer and pirating these games? Why are we, I personally have started pirating the games just out of sort of the principle of the matter. Like, you want to come here and, take away these jobs after they unionize? There's nothing stopping anyone from illegally downloading games in 2026. But it's more than games. It's software. It's computer engineering programs. It's just the tip of the iceberg, what these people were putting together, as I understand it.
Okay, Kirk. Appreciate it. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. I think that we certainly would never advocate pirating games. It breaks copyrights, and artists don't get paid. And I get that you're mad at Ubisoft. I get it. But there's a long list of people that are associated with that, but it would have nothing to do with that. It is interesting. It's not the first case of, and I'm putting quotes around this, union busting that we've heard across this country as of late. It appears to be what's the word I'm looking for? It appears to be sort of the MO now, right? If you have the opportunity to restructure amid a union drive, and it seems to happen. And I don't. And again, maybe somebody in the labor movement can explain this to me. I really don't think there's a lot that the bargaining unit nor the employee can do. We're back after the break. All right, welcome back to the open hour, 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Your chance to talk about whatever it is on your mind. That's the beauty of the open hour. Again, 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. And we welcome John to the show. John, how are you?
Hey, how you doing, Dan?
I'm good. What's on your mind today?
I'm pissed.
Okay.
About this Alberta thing.
Which Alberta thing? There's several Alberta things.
The separation.
Oh, okay.
The separation. Enough. Those people that are organizing this and dealing with the states should be charged for treason, right? They own the resources right now because it was given to them in 1930.
Right.
Right? 1930, the federal government passed it over to provincial, but under stipulation that if they separate or anything like that, it goes back to federal. The First Nations don't want nothing to do with it. They want to stay with Canada. I don't understand why nobody's standing up and saying, hey, guys, quit it, right? Because if you continue on, we'll charge you with treason. Because Trump's administration has dealt with the Alberta separation people, right? And that should be also addressed to the United States. Stay the hell out of our freaking business, right? We have to stand up. McCartney's doing a great job, but I don't know why he's not addressing this, right? It should be addressed and tapped out right away. And with this Unisoft thing, there should be a law put in that if they do something like this and they close down, they should look at the paperwork that shows the government that they were doing this all along. Just because they said it verbally doesn't mean crap. Anyone can say anything. Everyone lies today, especially in the government. It's ridiculous, especially with the Trump thing. So they should make a law so that they can address this union thing if they were trying to bust the union. And if they are, they should be fined big time.
Thanks, John.
That's my spiel. Any word about that?
Have a good one, John. I appreciate it, and I don't support separation and never would, never will. But this is a group of Albertans that are concerned about the way that their perception of the way that they're being treated. And in our democracy, they are going about their business in the right way. Now, with the discussions, as to John's point, with the United States, that is out of bounds, in my opinion. Premier of British Columbia agrees with John, who said, David Eby last week, said that this is a treasonous act. This isn't the first time that we've seen separation in this country, right? We saw it in Quebec. So I think this is a group of Albertans, funding aside and discussions with the Trump administration aside, because as I just mentioned, that's out of bounds, that are exercising their right under our rules to go down this road. They're in the process now of trying to collect it. The number escapes me. It's was it 171,000? I think is the number signatures on a petition in order to put this to a vote, and that's permitted under our rules. So we really don't have much to say about that. It's part of a democracy to have the people be active on an issue, and they're certainly being active on this. And we will see what happens if they're able to garner enough signatures on a petition to have this question asked as a plebiscite or the word is escaping me, but as a ballot question, and the people of Alberta will have their voice. I think, and this is just my opinion, that some of the points that John raised were correct, that we'll see the First Nations that will push back against this. I'm going to suggest that many in Alberta don't want to separate, but the process is there to allow people to at least try. And I think that we have to, as a country, we have to let them do that. Again, as I said off the top, and I'll say it again, I do not support separation of any kind. But it's their right to do so. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. I got a bunch of emails, folks, I want to get to, and some of them are actually quite interesting on my comments on estimated bills. This comes to us from Rob. It reads, on these estimated bills by Nova Scotia Power, I heard a lot of people complain about the estimates being well above what they're expected to pay, but I haven't heard many people mention that their estimated bill is much lower than they were expecting. Call me cynical, but these overestimated bills essentially are interest-free loans to Nova Scotia Power. All of the revenue coming in can be set aside and earn interest in the bond market, for example. Will Nova Scotia Power be returning that interest to customers who have overpaid? Fantastic question, Rob. I can assure you that if I failed to pay enough to Nova Scotia Power for 10 to 12 months, they would be charging me an interest Penalty. Another Rob writes, my bill is $200 more than it should be. Almost 1,000 kilowatts more than the meter says. They told me that it's estimate based on last year's usage, which was also an estimate based on the year before. And the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. They said March will be accurate when they do a manual read. This from Dan says, hey, Dan, I'm pretty sure you had a rep from NSP on your show explaining how they estimate the bills. There's also some articles. The CBC has an article on it. Historical usage from your house is used. Of course, it's not always right, but in most cases it is. You're only going to hear about the wonky bills. Geez, man, it's not some kind of crazy mystery. I hear a lot of people, Dan, that are suggesting that this is out to lunch. People that haven't even had the power on in their cottages and their camps. People who, as one of our callers today said, was away and had everything turned on absolutely low, and it's much higher than it was when they were living there. So even if there is a calculation, put it on the damn bill, right? There's lots of room on your bills. Put the calculation on the bill so people can see it. This is from Trevor. It says you just had a caller that said that heat pumps use NS Power dirty power. Two things, not all power is dirty power. NS Power has renewable power on the grid, so it's not all dirty. That is a fact. They've got wind. We saw the stories last week about their storage batteries that I know that doesn't generate, but it stores it. Heat pumps, depending on the model and conditions, can be up to 3 times energy efficient, i.e. 1,000 watts would give you 3,000 equivalent watts out. Heat pumps transfer energy from one location to another. They don't generate heat. Hopes that helps to balance the chats, and that comes to us from Trevor. Jason writes, hey, welcome back, Dan. I think it's possible that something else is going on with Nova Scotia Power's meters. My bill the other day showed 4,200 kilowatt hours in 67 days. In the 3 years that I had this house, the bills ranged within 2,000 kilowatt hours per 60-day bill. We use air conditioning as much as heat. Nothing changed, no new appliances. But mine's not an estimate. The meter shows that the same number was read by Nova Scotia Power. Many on Facebook are giving stories of this thing where their usage is said to have more than doubled for no apparent reason. That comes to us from Jason. And Ken writes, can't understand why some people are still using a groundhog, or he goes, a woodchuck or a gopher or rodent to forecast the weather instead of science. Yet, if anyone questions climate, and the canned replies always trust the science. So why all the news reporting and big hoopla of a big rodent seeing its shadow or not? Sorry, but this is silly nonsense, and it's not newsworthy. That comes to us from Ken. And Lee writes on, we were just talking about separation. Why do Liberal voters get so worked up over Alberta potentially separating, but have nothing to say about Quebec? Having lived through the Quebec referendum, that's the word I was looking for, referendum. It certainly was a tumultuous time in our country, and we very well may see it here in our part of the world in the not-too-distant future if this movement in Alberta is successful in getting this referendum put onto a ballot. Again, I will never, to my last breath, support separating any province out of this country, but we also have to respect the right for them to try. We're back after the news. Welcome back. This is the numbers in this most recent survey on tax increases probably don't come as much as a surprise to you listeners out there, because if you've been listening to our show or been reading some of the online comments and the discussion at council as part of the budget committee, there's not a lot of people out there that are happy with a 10.9% increase or whatever that number is going to be set at. But the rental housing providers of Nova Scotia have done the work now, and we have some kind of empirical data to back up the concerns out there. And 74% people that responded to the survey want council to limit their tax increases. 3/4 say that they are willing to see their services that they've become accustomed to cut, and programs as well to keep that tax increase as low as possible. Very pleased to welcome to the show to give us a little bit more context on this new data is Kevin Russell from the Residential Housing Providers in Nova Scotia. Kevin, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
The numbers in this survey probably aren't surprising a lot of people, but at least we have some data now.
Yeah, that's correct. I think the data supports everything that we've been hearing, the anecdotal evidence, and there's taxpayer anger is real and it's measured, but it is occurring, and people believe that taxpayers believe that council spending priorities are out of sync with what they feel the priorities should be right at this point in time.
The survey that you released last week breaks down sort of the 4 hot buttons for people in the area and in the region, and traffic congestion still at the top of that, followed very closely by housing and taxes.
That's correct. I mean, traffic congestion is growing. You see it every day. People experience it. And so it is not surprising that is at the top of the list. But what we see is the fact that these proposed tax increases affect every taxpayer in the city. And what's happening is that they're seeing their housing costs rising faster when you not only combine the property taxes, but also the power rates and the water rates. And all housing costs are rising. Unfortunately, the only thing that's not rising is income growth, and that's falling further behind. So that's causing even more frustration and more anger.
Kevin, I know you listen to the open hours a lot, much like I do. I listen to them all because I'm here. And you would have to have been living under a rock to not listen to some of the debate going in the city surrounding bike lanes. Your data shows that 68% of residents that responded to the survey say the city should reduce spending on bike lanes, but only 32% of respondents think that they decrease congestion. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, like I say, you see the impact. It is, and it's growing. The fact is that there's another stat in the survey that show only 1% of Halifax residents transport on bicycles to work. So, there's a lot of money, a lot of investment in that category, and it's showing up in frustration, not only in traffic, but the cost of the bike lanes. We know it's way over budget. It's upwards to $95 million. And so people are looking at that and shaking their head and saying enough is enough.
Transit obviously has been a big hot button issue of discussion here as people look at ways to improve that congestion, Kevin, and a good significant portion of the respondents to this survey think that we need to focus on transit.
Yeah, people are looking at this and saying, well, we want an alternative way to get to work. I mean, driving is not it's not only the congestion, but also the cost of getting to work is getting more costly. So they are looking at ways for more transit. The issue is that transit is simply not working the way it should be designed to work. Buses are late. There's poor connections. And so right at the present time, there's a reluctance to go to use transit. I mean, there's a host of other issues that go along with transit that need to be fixed too. The security issues, at the transit terminals. So there really needs to be a focus on transit. And people are saying, well, instead of spending on the bike lanes, why don't we invest more in transit and take that money in transit? So we'll have to see how this unfolds. This topic is not going to go away. And council again is digging their heels in. You know, they've approved some other bike lanes. They've also made a small cut, but I think it's more symbolic than what than anything that's substantial. And so, you know, council, you know, really has to start listening to the residents. I mean, you know, the campaign that we have on right now, the Stop the Property Tax Hike, is about giving taxpayers a voice and reminding council who they work for. And people got to get out and engage with their councillors. They've got to get the emails going to them. And most importantly, they should be showing up at councillors' meetings. And you know, people underestimate the power of showing up and going and being face to face with their councillors in the councillor meetings. It's the only way that the councillors get the message.
Kevin, finally, an issue that I know that you've been very upfront on is the increase in water rates, 18.1%. In the first 4 months of 2026. The mayor calling on both the Auditor Generals of Nova Scotia and the Municipal Auditor General to take a look at Halifax Water, and 78% of respondents to your survey suggest that's the right approach.
That is correct. I mean, it was very apparent that at the regulator meeting, the regulators' hearing, that there is obviously something wrong at Halifax Water, and we feel that to get to the root of the problem, both the Halifax Auditor General and the Provincial Auditor General should somehow come together and look into the matter and what's causing the problems at Halifax Water, not only on rates but on infrastructure and a whole host of other items.
Kevin, I know you're busy. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Dan. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
That is Kevin Russell. He is the executive director of the group that put this together, the Rental Housing Providers of Nova Scotia. We're going to stop, get an update on the news, and on the other side of it, the Olympics. Can you believe it? They're already here. I think we're like 4 days out now. We're going to give you a bit of a Cole's Notes version of what we can expect from the Olympics. And from a Nova Scotian perspective, who to watch. Ken Bagnell, our good friend, will be joining us when we return. You're listening to The Todd Veinotte Show. I'm Dan Ahlstrand, and we are back after the update. All right, welcome back as we roll into Milano Cortina, and we watch Nova Scotia curling shine at the Scotties Tournament of Hearts this past weekend. And there's ongoing debate in the sporting community, I can tell you, not just from our guests, but from others that are associated with minor hockey and with figure skating and other ice-related sports. The ongoing debate over the future of the Halifax Forum is certainly happening around the water coolers and at the coffee shops and dinner tables here in Nova Scotia. Always a pleasure to welcome our next guest in here. He's the CEO of Canadian Sport Institute Atlantic, and we know him as Ken Bagnell. Welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you?
Let's start with the forum, because that one seems to be the topic du jour, right?
Yeah, this discussion should have been resolved, and we should have been utilizing a 4-pad now. That was a possibility in 2014. I think some of our thinking got tangled up in nostalgia and other things. Not that it is iconic, but a lot of places have been replaced that are iconic and still remain with their allure of the past. But this particular opportunity, we missed it in 2014. We are accountable for missing it in 2014 of getting 4-pad with the military involved with it. Now we're stuck where we're at today, which is a difficult situation. And I know the councillors and the mayor have been discussing kind of the next plans, but it does seem like the current forum property is in its last days.
Well, Peter Card was in here on, I think it was Friday or Thursday last week, and said that, the plan, even the plan that's before council right now, is essentially to demolish the structure that's there and rebuild it, right? So it wouldn't even really be the forum again. So
yeah, it's interesting. The concept of tearing it down and building elsewhere, which seems to be the predominant thought. Yeah, I think that's fine, as long as in advance you declare where those sites are. Not we'll study them. Where are those sites? On the peninsula?
10 acres, at least 10 acres, right?
Yeah, very limited opportunities there. So I think they have to be very outright in saying, or forthright in saying that here are the 4 sites that we'd consider for that we own, or, and then sell the land. It's worth a lot of money. So that's a good thing. That's a responsible thing. But have your replacement thoughts in line, not just kick it down the road. And because as we've seen, this has been kicked down the road since 2008.
8 is the first time that we started this. Yes.
So I hope they take a educated approach to what's going on, and one that's clear to the community. We're looking to increase the density in the peninsula. We're building that way. There's going to be more demand, not less demand. So to say we'll push it off the peninsula, well, probably not an option. And we also lost an opportunity with Dalhousie and St. Mary's when they were talking about doing a 2-pad, and that fell apart. So this one's littered with a lot of challenges, I would say, over the past number of years.
And I think that at the end of the day, I don't think anybody's going to be happy with the result.
No, and I think what's going to be the most upsetting thing is, as you know, the forum roof is really not that solid. So, this could happen sooner than we anticipate. So
it could happen today.
Yeah, so you've got a 3-year delay at least in getting a new situation together. So I think they have to simultaneously say, here's what we're doing with the forum, here's what we're doing as a replacement, and make that commitment. Tough to do with that, with the swimming pool coming up, big expenditures, but those are community building things that, are like our library, like they're a part of they have been a part of what we've been doing as a city, and I presume they'll be part of our future as well. But making decisions so you're not putting off something and, doubling a price of what something will be by waiting 3 or 4 years is not a solution. So
fair.
Yeah.
A few months back, Ken, you and I were sitting in here. We were talking in advance of the World Curling Trials happening, or the Canadian Curling Trials happening down at Scotiabank Centre, and we talked a little bit about how important these events are to grow grassroots curling in Nova Scotia. And then, boy, we watched the Scotties this weekend in Mississauga, and Christina Black, who's having a year, oh my goodness, and now Taylor Stevens, both from the Halifax Curling Club, have they had that playoff it wasn't a playoff game, but it was the win to get in game, and wow, did Nova Scotia, it wasn't long ago at the national level that they were talking about, well, maybe Nova Scotia should be combined with the Maritimes, or maybe they don't have a representative there.
Right. Certainly a tiering system they had talked about at some stage with teams that historically didn't have success. But that certainly is not something that you can say about Nova Scotia curling now, especially on the women's side. It is very deep. There's several teams that have obviously had success at the junior level, being world medalists, national champions, and they're coming up through now. So Taylor's team is made up of people like
very young,
very good, and
made some shots. I mean, I think Taylor Stevens made the shot of the tournament. I think
pretty amazing, and had some other shots in order to make as well. She's going to take that experience and run with it.
Right.
No, I think it's a secret that wasn't a secret here in Nova Scotia, but was for the rest of the country. And the coming out party on the Friday night game between Stevens and Black was an unbelievable confirmation of the good work that Nova Scotia curling has done, and that the curling clubs do in attracting and retaining young people to curl. I think we're seeing a little bit of a switch where maybe 10 years ago it was harder to get younger people to curl. I don't think we have that problem in this province anymore.
And during that game on Friday night, the Halifax Curling Club got a big shout out from the on-air broadcast. Russ Howard's kind of a legend,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
And Joanne Courtney, not as much, but certainly has won her share of.
As a curler, she is.
As Canadians and Olympics. And anyway, gave a shout out to the Halifax Curling Club about their ice.
Yeah,
and the fact that they've recognized that arena ice, for those of you that aren't curlers, arena ice where they play these big events is much different than curling club ice. It's swingier, it's faster, and that the Halifax Curling Club has recognized that and have put that are putting an effort forward to try and to replicate that kind of ice.
Yeah, and they've done a great job, and the results we see them happening as we speak. Certainly the new Mayflower Club is going to be a great club as well, and it's going to have very good ice. And we're hoping that on the other side of the harbor, Dartmouth rises from the grave that it's in right now in terms of their curling club, which currently isn't active. Hopefully they're able to get the facility back together, but because there's a big curling base over in Dartmouth. But I think we're really well set up for the years to come. And curling, we'll see it in the next few weeks at the Olympic Games. Curling's like hockey. It's kind of one of those cornerstone things that we have that's part of our culture in small town Canada as well as in bigger cities as well. So, I'm happy that curling is now part of the high performance structure that we get to work with. We've worked with Team Black for a few years and look forward to working with Team Stevens moving forward.
And it's not just on the women's side, the men's side also getting some momentum, and we're getting ready to watch the Brier after the Olympic Games. Yeah,
I think we have some very good representation at the Brier this year, and again, some young teams which are pretty good. Men's field, I think, is going to go through a little changeover after this Olympic cycle where some of the older teams, Gushu, for example, is not continuing on. There'll be a few others who don't as well. So there'll be opportunity, and I think we'll be well positioned once again to have some depth at the high performance level on the men's side.
We mentioned Milan Cortina, which is only 4 days away?
Well, it's actually only 2 days away because in 2 days, the women's hockey team plays Finland and the mixed curling event starts. So 2 days before the opening ceremonies, there's events going and it's crept up a little bit, but I think we're going to have a Winter Games with the excitement that we've not seen, maybe since Vancouver, right? With the men's hockey team back in, and that alone draws more eyes and more attention, and then more interest in some of the other sports that may not get that. And I think that it's been a quiet setup. The only controversy really that's been out there.
If the rink was going to get done.
If the rink was. But tell me a major event that isn't worried about a timeline. The venues are iconic. They're spread throughout Italy, so it doesn't have that compact approach like most Olympic Games, but the venues themselves are fantastic. I think the experience for the athletes will be a little different because they're spread out so much and they're in different villages.
Russ Howard mentioned that because when they were in Italy last time, when Russ and Brad and his team were there, that the curling events were kind of away from the village and kind of away from the kind of epicenter. And he said, of anything that he missed the most about that experience was that he didn't get a lot of time to mingle with the rest of the athletes.
Yeah, I think that will be something from an athlete perspective that's will be apparent as we move into it. But as far as how it will look on TV or how it is as a spectator, I think it will be a phenomenal experience. I anticipate the Italians to do quite well, which will, buoy the excitement in all the venues.
Lots of Nova Scotia content in the Olympic Games. We're going to take a break here. Ken's going to stick around and give us our viewer's guide as who to watch. And I think we'll probably start on the hockey rink because there are lots of Nova Scotians that will be taking part in Olympic hockey. You are listening to the Todd Veinotte Show. I'm Dan Ahlstrand. We are back in minutes. Only a couple of days away now as we get into our closets, and or maybe you're going out and buying new stuff like Ken's wearing today with our red and white, and get ready to cheer on Canada, not only on the hockey ice, but in all of the events that I think there's 218 athletes in Canada sending to the Olympic Games. Ken, of course, many eyeballs here will be on the hockey rink as we have plenty of Nova Scotia content on both the women's side and on the men's side, of course, with the Cole Harbour connection that many people are looking forward to seeing play at an Olympic event. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Again, I had mentioned this before, how it's a really unique time to be a Nova Scotian and cheering on hockey, women's and men's side, with such key people like Blair Turnbull on the women's side, the coaches, who are leading the charge, Troy and Corey Chevrier are, have been coaching for the last 8 years, this team, and I think it's going to be Troy Ryan, I think it's going to be a fabulous run for the women's team. They will probably run up against the U.S. at the end of the day. Tends to be the way it goes. Tends to be the way, and they've had the better of us this year. So it will be a big effort for them to overtake the Americans, hopefully on February 10th, which is when they play in round robin, and then further down in the competition, hopefully at the finals. On the men's side, it's going to be spectacular. The NHL players consistently say how they love Olympic hockey. It's a different level than the Stanley Cup. Then they come back and play nice with their owners and say they love the Stanley Cup, but they disrupted the labor agreement to make sure that they got in these games. So that was one of their big stances. Look at the Four Nations that we did last year, right? I mean, that was fabulous. That was the best hockey I watched all year, and that was just a preamble to this. Yeah, I think we're going to get into. I'm feeling pretty confident we'll get to the semifinals. Past that, all bets are off. Well, I think there are like 5 teams that can challenge Canada for the gold medal. We of course want to see them win the gold medal, and we'll certainly be cheering for them. But the Americans are maybe, if not probably, the deepest team that they have ever. The favored team for sure. Yeah. The Finns are always tough. The Swedes are always tough, and the Czechs, who have, if we look at the junior play, have been pretty dominant as well. So it's not a guaranteed medal, let's say, for Canada. No, not at all. And we'll have to use all our firepower because we may let in a few goals. Our goaltending's not as strong as some of the other teams. But again, for a tournament, somebody can get hot, like Binnington did at the Four Nations Cup. Also, another country that you can't dismiss is Latvia. Yep. They have beaten us in Olympic competition. They've beaten us in all sorts of competitions. One-off, I mean, that's what their game is made for, those big upsets. And so I think it's going to be a very interesting thing. But the event itself, the hockey tournament, lasts over the whole Olympic Games, and I think for the first part of the games we'll get a little taste of it, and then it will really ramp up as we get to the quarter, semis, and finals. But that gives time for a lot of other athletes to shine. What else are you watching? What other events are you watching? Well, for sure we have snowboarding, and we have Liam Moffat from Truro, who learned his trade at Wentworth, representing Canada for his second Olympic Games in snowboard cross, and potentially in a relay as well. So hopefully that comes together, and he has a great event. And it's just amazing. I think we've only went one Olympic Games without a snowboarder from Nova Scotia on the team. It's just a
testament to, some of the
Facilities
training
we
that
have
happens. Yeah. We're going to, on Saturdays, the men's downhill, it's like the 100-meter final of the Winter Games. So that will be pretty spectacular. But Canada's really looking to have success in short track, long track speed skating. Courtney Sereau from Moncton is a world all-round champion, and she'll be looking for several medals, relays and individual medals in Milan, as well as Ricky Doak, who's from Fredericton as well. So we have some good Atlantic content. Brett Gallant on the curling side learned his curling in PEI.
Yep.
And is actually playing in two events. He's playing in fours with Brad Jacobs, and also then with his wife, Jocelyn Peterson, in the mixed doubles. So lots of Atlantic content there, more than ever, actually. We've never had that many athletes make it to the Winter Olympics. But anyways, lots, probably up to 8 medals in short track speed skating, 3 or 4 in long track speed skating. The other event that we're very strong in is freestyle skiing. So Mackay Kingsburg, who he's won 100 World Cup events.
And he's the flag bearer.
Yeah, pretty amazing. He'll be one of the favorites for sure, but lots of potential medals there. Curling, as we mentioned, are really looking to take 3 medals. It's been a long time since we had a gold medal, men's or women's, at an Olympic Games. So I know Jacobs and Holman will be looking to change that streak. Hockey, again, men's and women's side. Canada's looking at somewhere between 23 and 28 medals. Field's getting a lot deeper. The powerhouses, Germany, Norway, the U.S., will probably be ahead of the pack by a little bit. Then there's Austria, who cleans up in skiing, and
Norway.
And Norway, yes. And Italy will be the wild card here, whether they can do something exceptional by having access to facilities in advance many more times, like on the sliding tracks, than any other country would have. A little bit of a home field advantage. I just saw that for the U.S., a billionaire has said, we want to treat all the Olympians the same. So we're going to give $200,000 US to every Olympian this time around. So, I mean, it's for sports like bobsleigh or cross-country ski, I mean, there's zero money in there. You're investing $50,000 a year to represent the country. So
it's been a big bone of contention for athletes in our country for a long time now. It's getting better with on the podiums and the RBC program, but it's still tough for those non mainstream sports.
Yeah, it's very tough. And, the good thing is that with many athletes, their communities really support them. So we have some examples here in Atlantic Canada in Nova Scotia, where athletes are quite well supported by the corporate sector, by individual donors, but those are the exception, not the rules. I think we're going to have a record number of athletes heading to LA for 2028, and we're going to put some things together so people can get their money, those athletes, so they can represent our country well.
Rest up, Ken. It's going to be a long couple of weeks.
Yes, it will, but exciting.
That is Ken Bagnell, who will be watching, as I know many of you will be watching, as Canada gets ready to go for gold in Milano Cortina, beginning in just a couple of days. CEO of Canadian Sport Institute Atlantic, Ken Bagnell, my thanks to you, sir. And my thanks to all of you for joining the show and joining the conversation. Thanks to Vanessa Vandenez on the other side of the glass, who does outstanding work each and every day that we do it. A programming note, folks, get your pens down, get your phones ready, because we're going to have an hour-long conversation with the Premier of Nova Scotia. Tim Houston's going to be in the studio on Thursday at 11 o'clock. So I'm giving you lots of notice to get your questions ready. Premier Tim Houston will be here on Thursday to answer some of your questions and hopefully some of my questions looking forward to it. Everybody, get out there and enjoy winter. It's not just about shoveling. Be well, and remember, be kind to one another.